BL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They don't read the comments, they talk down to us. They say this all the time, that we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter, but I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your life, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is amazing, then also please definitely let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, that we're excited to be part of, that we can't wait to engage with, that I think we lack on some of the other channels. So please definitely subscribe. And I just think we could all be part of something special. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're at first things first, where I guess apparently Nick is doing a post-season QB tier thing, you know, Mahomes, playoff mountain, whatever. I have not watched this. This is an older clip. I don't know how I missed this, honestly. But it's still relevant because it's still this week and no playoff games have been played yet. So let's get to it.
Mahomes Mountain, only the playoff quarterbacks. The bottom row, I do not think anyone will disagree with.
I'll disagree with this completely.
1-1 in the postseason. Tua's never played in the postseason. Jalen, a shocking fall, but given how he played last year, Jalen 2-2 in the postseason, and Mason Rudolph.
Let me just stop. This is such a disgrace to say that Baker, Tua, and Hurts who led the Eagles last year to the Super Bowl. I mean, that is just such a disgrace and is just such bias. It's insane. And to have Rudolph on the same level as Hurts is such a disgrace. I mean, that's a joke. That shows Nick's bias so much. That is just like, that's what makes me always respect him a little bit less every single time he says nonsense like this.
Of course, having never played in the postseason, they are the bottom row of Mahomes Mountain. Now to row 4. Joe Flacco, 10 postseason wins, unfortunately.
Like, Love is ahead of Hurts, who's never been in the playoffs ever. Like, please tell me how that makes sense. That makes zero sense. Flacco and Goff, I get it, but honestly, Flacco's success in the playoffs should put him higher up. I mean, you know, it's 10-5 record. I think the argument is that since we don't know, since Flacco technically like retired, or I don't know if he ever formally retired, but like, you know, like obviously he's an older quarterback and was out of the league essentially, and now he's back, so that kind of gives this big question mark. We're just kind of like, who is, you know, Flacco? So I kind of get that. Purdy, I think, should be elevated. I mean, this mountain already is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
They all came in the standard definition era, but they still happen. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan Love never played in the postseason, but is red hot right now. The last 2 months of football has been exceptional. Brock Purdy, 2-1 in the postseason. One excellent postseason game, his first ever. One mediocre game, I would say, and then one game that doesn't really count. He got to only play a few snaps before he got hurt. Now to the top 6. Third row, Lamar Jackson.
Right.
He's about to be a 2-time MVP. That means he will have 2 more.
Right. So, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are on this row that's now below Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes. Anyone who's not a Kansas City fan and a Dallas Cowboys fan, please tell me how that makes sense. Please tell me. Because I know if you're a Dallas fan, you're a KC fan, you're like, blah, 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 nonsense. Please tell me how that's even remotely possible.
MVPs, and he has quality playoff starts. He hopes to change that this year, but that is the reality. CJ Stroud. The Mountain is giving this young man a lot of credit for a rookie making his first ever postseason start, but he has earned it, checking off every box throughout the year, from comeback victories, big-time throws, rallying from behind. And then Josh Allen, we have seen him in the postseason be brilliant. We have seen him in the postseason literally throw the ball behind his head in a 3-point game with a minute left. We have seen him in the postseason blow teams out. We've seen him in the postseason get blown out, but no one can act like he is not scary for all involved. All 106 players on both teams are afraid of what's coming out with Josh Allen is where he deserves to be. And now, row 2 of the mountain, Matt Stafford, who has been absolutely sensational since coming back from injury. Matt Stafford, who was on a heater the last time he was in the postseason. And Dak Prescott, who has a credible case for league MVP that nobody seems to want to make because Lamar won it after week 17, which is odd because the NFL season is now 18 weeks, but it is what it is.
Well, Lamar Jackson actually played really, really well against good teams, unlike Dak, who's played significantly poorer against good teams. And Lamar Jackson and the Ravens blew out the number 1 team of the 49ers, and then the next team, they blew out the Miami Dolphins, where Lamar Jackson clearly proved to be the best player on the field in both of those games. That's how he did that. Dak Prescott hasn't done that once the entire season. In any games that he really showed out and said, look at me, it was against terrible, trash teams. That's the argument right there, Nick. That's the argument.
And then without a doubt, atop the playoff iteration of Mahomes Mountain is, of course, Patrick Mahomes. And for those of, yes,
doesn't make any sense.
That is a gaudy postseason record, but I promise it is better than that. If we can show you Mahomes' postseason stats, what you'll see is best in everything. And so, yes, the regular season didn't go as well as one would have hoped, but in the postseason, even last year when he played most of the postseason on one leg, it has gone quite well. So that, Greg Jennings, is the postseason iteration of Mahomes Mountain. I don't think it's controversial nor that debatable, so I don't know what we're going to do for these last 8 minutes, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the mountain.
Thank you.
There's a couple things that I would change, but I would just want to point out the guy kind of right there in the middle, C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm pointing out C.J. Stroud, and I understand the mountain is being nice to C.J. Stroud, but I'm nicer. And this young man is he's almost like one of those anomalies.
Wow.
You can't put him where you don't know where he's supposed to be, so I'll do it because I figure I know. I'm just going to take him all the way to the top and right under that guy that's Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, second from the top.
Yeah,
Okay, you're going to replace go ahead.
I'm going to replace these two because this young man plays with no fear.
Yeah.
He doesn't know any better, but he is better than all these quarterbacks that are on the mountain with him. Like, when you talk about playoff history, he doesn't have any playoff history. He's been in big games.
Okay, so that's the thing. If this is base, since this is a weird mountain, because when it's the regular season, we're just looking at the regular season, current regular season, not, any other seasons past, right? It's just a current season. That's the structure of the mountain. That's the whole thing. We're not talking about what happened in 2021. But for playoffs, obviously, these playoffs haven't happened yet, and so now we're doing this mountain, so now we are using, that's why the records are all there for past history. If we're talking about past history, then to have Jalen Hurts at the bottom makes zero sense. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And to have Dak all the way up there, please tell me all the success that Dak has in the playoffs. He's literally 2-4 and has some moments that you're just like, whoa, what the heck? So that doesn't make any type of sense. So again, if we're like, and Tua doesn't have any success, so how could they be on the same thing? So you're obviously, it's not just looking at past playoffs. It's looking at past playoffs along with play this season. So it's that combination of the two. So if that's the argument of why you want to put Patrick Mahomes at the top, fine, but he has to be way down because of this season's regular season's play. So the fact that Josh Allen is, so low makes no sense because it just doesn't make any sense. The same thing with Lamar Jackson, right? So it's just like, what's more important right now? Like past playoff or regular season in terms of weighting where to put people? Because if that was the case, I mean, again, how could you put Stroud has 0 playoff experience and yet he shot up to the top? So this pyramid, this mountain, whatever, is just bizarre for so many different reasons.
big moments, and he shined on those moments.
College football playoff was pretty good.
Absolutely. And so when you look at Lamar, in my opinion, he would be the only other one that I would say has an opportunity to do something really special, but we just don't know because of past history. He has no history, and nothing tells us that he is going to fail in this moment because he hasn't failed all season long. So for me, CJ Stroud is a guy that you can move up because you just trust who he is, and he's been doing some remarkable things. I don't know if you know. Do we have a little tweet that was out there? I just want you guys to know, look at this. There's 3 quarterbacks in the last 50 seasons that have led the NFL in passing yards per game and in TD interception ratio.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know
look
that.
Look at the guys on this list.
Pretty good.
Joe Montana, Tom Brady, CJ Stroud. They weren't rookies, mind
Correct.
you. He's the only rookie to ever do that. He will probably be the only rookie to ever do it. Like, this young man is different. He's going to be in the yellow jacket one day.
Wow.
And he's well on his way.
Wow. Greg is going a little over the top, but you know what, Greg? I applaud it. Was it, wow, 2 future Hall of Famers in the AFC South. Unbelievable.
You really like Richardson. You really like Anthony Richardson.
Maybe we're going to the hat trick. Here's what I will say in support of CJ. He has not played in the playoffs, but he kind of has. I'm not talking college. Because this weekend's game was a playoff game. They win, they're in the playoffs, they lose, their season's over, and he started the game off with a 75-yard strike to Nico Collins. So I will give him credit in that regard.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yeah.
Do you give that credit? Was it kind of a playoff game?
You know what he said? You're setting him up?
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I do, kind of.
Oh, last year you told me it's not a playoff game. I just wanted you to say that.
You thought I was.
I thought you only had the Aaron Rodgers receipt.
He thought you were trying to set up me about so Trevor Lawrence didn't play well in a playoff game.
No.
Listen, most quarterbacks can't play well hurt in the playoffs. Only Mahomes. Go ahead.
I forgot about that. Greg, nice try. You get an A for effort for trying to steal CJ Stroud from me. He's my guy. What? All right, you can throw out all the. He's
Nick
knows.
said he would take him number 1 overall.
Yes, I was saying shouting from the rooftops.
Really, just
that I would take him over Bryce Young.
You said that about him. I say he's the second best quarterback in all of football.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Whoever
I
has
claimed him.
just
I
for the record,
claimed him.
No.
whoever has the
Hottest.
best compliment gets.
All right. Nick, I got to move Lamar up. Now, you're holding his past playoff resume against him, 1-3. Dak's 2-4. In fact, in his last 4 playoff games, Dak is 1-3. All right, and the last time we saw Dak, it wasn't pretty in the playoffs. 1 touchdown, 2 picks against the Niners. We all remember that. So I am moving Lamar up. I'd move him ahead of Stafford too, but I'm moving him up to that second row. I'm cool with Mahomes at number 1. So Lamar moves up. I think the thing with Lamar and his playoff record, and it's not just his record, his performances, weren't good. But we all will admit, he wasn't really that close to being the passer he is now. And I'm not saying he's Mahomes now, but he has improved dramatically as a passer. He's in a more pass-friendly offense. He's looking to pass more. Like before, it was first couple options not there, you're running, and he has better receivers. So I think, and look, this year I feel like he's answered all the questions as far as passing the football in the regular season.
Correct.
Got to do it in the playoffs.
I agree with all of that.
And he's done it against, like I mentioned with Purdy, 6-2 against playoff teams, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks, 3 more.
See, so again, if we're considering both this regular season and past playoff experience, success, Dak Prescott would be like on the 3rd row. He really would be. And I'm not being a Dak hater. It's just the reality is 2-4 in the playoffs and has not really played that well in the playoffs. It's just the reality, especially against actual good playoff teams in the playoffs. That's the reality, okay? And then you would have to put Joe Flacco this season is playing great and has great playoff success. So then he would be like on the 2nd row right now. Stafford won a Super Bowl. So that's what I'm saying. Stafford's a Super Bowl winning quarterback just a few years ago. Had an amazing no-look pass in the Super Bowl and has been playing really good this season since his injury. And yet then he's on the same level, so it just doesn't, this thing really doesn't make sense. So at the bottom, I guess if I would have, I don't know if it has to be done where it's, 5 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Because some of the other pyramids he does isn't necessarily like that. But I guess like if it has to be that way, right, where you have to kind of fill in the gaps, but you have the vacant spot just because of the way the teams work, then what I would do is you would put Rudolph, Tua, on that level, and then I would actually have to put Baker on the next level because Baker actually played pretty well. So you would have to put Stroud there at the bottom because he has no playoff experience, So you would replace Stroud with Baker, and then Baker would be on the next level, and you would put Baker, Goff. Oh, and you would put Love down there, and so then you would put Baker, Goff, and I'm gonna say Baker, Goff, and Dak Prescott. And then above that would be Purdy, Allen, Lamar. No, you would put Purdy down, and then it would be Lamar and Allen at 2, and then Mahomes at 1. Mahomes would have to be 1 because he's obviously has the most amount of success in the playoffs, so that would really kind of put him up there. So it's a little confusing. I'm doing this in my head. I'm like, wait, where did I put these people? So hopefully you can follow. But really what it comes down to, you'd have Mahomes at the top, and I would put Mahomes at the top, and then I would have, let me do it that way, Mahomes at the top, and then I would have Stafford and Allen at 2, and then Lamar, Flacco, Hurts, and then Purdy, Goff, Dak, Baker, and then the rest of them at the bottom. That's actually how I say, that's what I believe. That to me would be the most accurate pyramid. So I think I actually changed it last second because I just now did it in reverse, but the way how I just said it is how it should be. I have spoken. That is what I believe. Bang the gavel. That is the reality of it. But yeah, what do you guys all think? This is definitely a confusing take and a confusing segment because you still don't know like how it's being thing. It's like, how can Stroud be all the way up there and how can Dak be all the way up there? Like doesn't make any sense. And how can someone with a 2-2 record in the playoffs be next to someone like Rudolph, who hasn't been in the playoffs at all? Doesn't make any sense. So this is like already a flawed segment to begin with, which is why I was a little confused of how to evaluate. But hopefully you all can follow. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. Who do you think should be at the top? Who should you think be at the bottom? Would love to hear your thoughts. And please don't forget to subscribe. I would absolutely love to see you part of this community. We are building it into something truly, truly special, and I would love to see you part of it. Thanks so much, and see you next time.